Hello, I'm going to do a few things in this video. Number one, I'm going to talk about the 9 vibration and the 13 vibration and how they compare to each other, how they're different from each other. Another word for vibration is harmonic. You might be more familiar with that 9th harmonic and the 13th harmonic. So that's one thing I will do. And I will be doing it by looking at the chart of Nancy Pelosi, who is the Speaker of the House of Representatives in the United States currently. I'm making this video at the end of January 30th, 2019. Okay, so that's one thing we're going to do. Another thing we're going to see is how you can rectify a birth chart just by the behavior of the person and the person's personality. Rectify means figure out what time they were born. So we don't know what time Nancy Pelosi was born. At least I haven't been able to find out her birth time from searching around. And I believe she was born around 8 p.m. on her birth date. So this is kind of amazing. Just from the way she behaves and things she does, I believe she's probably born in the afternoon. Now, another thing about, or even early evening, like 8 p.m., somewhere in the afternoon to evening. Now, this leads into my third point, which is it's nice to make specific predictions. So I'm predicting that if the birth time of Nancy Pelosi is found, it will be late in the day. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. The probability is like 50-50. So, we'll find out. And by putting ourselves out on the line like that and saying something, we can see if the theory works. It's a great way to improve the astrology. And I recently had predicted that in the United States, something would happen on January 23rd, which was 1 week ago, and it did not happen. It happened 2 days later on the 25th. What I had predicted that this government shutdown, a partial government shutdown in the United States, would end on the 23rd. It did not, so my forecast was wrong. Ended 2 days later. I said the 23rd or earlier, but it was 2 days after. And I learned something. So, it's good to admit our mistakes. And what I learned is I had a lot of assumptions about Nancy Pelosi. I had never looked at her birth chart because I don't have a time for it. And I usually don't look at birth charts of people that I don't have times for. But when the government shutdown didn't end on the 23rd, I figured, my understanding of Nancy Pelosi is probably wrong. I will explain all that in this video. So we'll learn also a little bit about the politics in the United States of people like Nancy Pelosi and what's going on with that. Maybe you're interested in that, maybe you're not, but mainly I just want to focus on what we are learning about astrology more than the politics, and I happen to be just using these political people to learn this. Okay, so first thing, comparison of 9 vibration and 13 vibration. 9 vibration is all about community, wholeness, togetherness, healing, feeling connected, feeling bonded. So a saying that's been picked up by the Democratic Party in the United States sometimes is it takes a village to raise a family. Actually, I haven't heard this in a while. It just became popular for a while. So I think that's self-explanatory. The idea that we're together. We're all in this together. The teachers, the neighbors, all the people who support the community economically, the shops, the stores, the employers. Everything is important for the community and for the children to grow up. It's this sense that we're all in this together. We're all bonded. We're all connected. That's what's coming through with the 9 vibration. People who have a lot of aspects in 9 vibration at the time they're born are attuned to that. They're very sensitive to that. They're very aware of it, even if they don't express it in exactly those words. That's what's going on. The 13 vibration gives a sense of going beyond the norm. So instead of it takes a village to raise a family, it tends to more of a tough love approach. That if you're having difficulty, why don't you tap into that power within you? And if we do not encourage you to tap into that power within you, that willpower, that strength to overcome your situation and rise above mediocrity, then we're not doing the best thing, because we're just keeping you stuck in a with the herd, you might say. It's like you're one of the sheep. You need to move up out of that. So these different vibrations bring different energy flow, and I like to say they bring a different truth, because both the 9 vibration is true and the 13 vibration is true. What doesn't work so well is when we apply a certain energy or solution in a situation that it's not appropriate for, or if we do not express the highest potential of it. But these are vibrations that exist and flow through us and that are important to express well. A second way of looking at this is the 9 vibration is inclined to be kind to one another, to avoid fighting, because it wants wholeness, healing, togetherness, all the pieces of the puzzle all fitting together beautifully. The 13 vibration, of course, everybody likes peace and not fighting, but the 13 vibration is more attuned to a phrase like no pain, no gain. That life's not about everything always being easy and pleasant and being, soft and peaceful all the time. You have to push yourself in order to get beyond the norm. So they don't like to be indulgent, that you get out there, if you want to get physically fit, it's not about sitting around, it's about getting the willpower, the energy, the motivation, get going, no pain, no gain. They apply that to everything. A third way of looking at this, as I said, the 9 vibration sees everything as interconnected, and that our community forms us. Our language, if we speak English or Spanish or German, why? Because we grew up in a culture that speaks that language. Even the accent we have, the intonation, we develop from our environment, our survival. Depends on our parents, of course. All of our aspirations and understanding and values are formed within the context of our community and the impact of our friends and teachers, and really everybody is so vital. This is the truth that the 9 vibrations tuned into. The 13 vibration is tuned into the idea that we can do better. We can do better than our ancestors did. Let's raise the bar. We're built on their shoulders, but let's move it forward. And the way we'll do that is by being true to ourselves, figuring out what is important to you. And the game of life, or the contest of life, is more important than the results. It's how you play the game that counts. That's another popular phrase, how you played the game. Go in there, do your best, determination, rise above. That's all you can do. That's the important thing. Another way of looking at it, the 9 vibration, we'll swim together or we'll sink together. We're all in this boat together. As opposed to the 13 vibration attitude, which is that one brave, sincere, and honest soul can save the day. To stand up and have that bravery and that integrity and rise above. And lastly, another way of that 9 vibration and 13 vibration tend to see the world differently is the 9 vibrations more inclined to want to share with the neighbors and to realize that we're stronger through our network than we are alone. So we need that cooperation. We're all one. We're all in this together. The 13 vibration is seeing that there's this force within us, this spark of power. You could call it God or life or the force. You don't even have to give it a name. They just have this sense that there's this spark of power within us. And many of us walk through life asleep and unaware of our connection to this infinite strength. Tap into it and you will succeed. And if you do succeed, you are entitled to what you achieve because you did it. So these 2 vibrations are very different, and they lead to very different ways of looking at the world. Now, you can do some very simple, mundane forecasting that in the sky, what we call the transits, when the planets move into strong 9 vibration, means they're ninths of a circle from each other, like 40 degrees, 80 degrees. Actually, it's more intricate than that, but that's the basic idea. The 9 vibration is strong, and collectively, people are more aware of the truth of the 9 vibration. So when the planets move into 9 vibration, everybody starts tuning in a little bit more into this idea that we're all connected. We need to help each other. We need to heal. We need to cooperate. Don't be so hard on people. Let's heal and bring us together. Similarly, when the planets move into a 13 vibration, the trends throughout the globe, the politics, the entertainment, everything picks up a 13 vibration of courage, of transcending your situation, of strength, and of individual decision making. So in the United States and in many countries around the world, you'll see different groups of people representing the different vibrations. So in the United States, the Democratic Party brings the message of the 9 vibration, and many of the leaders, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, so many of them, Joe Biden, have very strong aspects in 9 vibration. The Republican Party is not so attuned to 9 vibration. They're more attuned to 13 vibration and some other similar vibrations. I won't get into all the details of it. And so basically it's very simple. When the planets move into 9 vibration, the Democratic Party interests rise, and when the planets move into 13 vibration, the Republican interests and policies and platform tend to succeed because they start making more sense to people a little bit more. Now, politics is a very controversial thing, and some people feel that the Democrats do wonderfully well or do horrible with the 9 vibration, and same thing could be said about the Republican Party. You can make your own judgment about what is a good expression, a healthy expression, a positive expression. I don't want to get into that. That's not important for us to learn the astrology, but I think everybody can see that different groups of people consistently have leaders in those vibrations and bring that truth and that interest and that focus and that platform out and to the public. That's what they're promoting. Now, here's a graph that I produced with the Sirius Astrology software, that shows vibrations going up and down through the month of January 2019. And here on the 22nd of January, this violet or fuchsia, whatever color you want to call this let's just call it violet color or fuchsia color, peaks right here on the 22nd. And it tells us down here in this legend that that's the 13 vibe. Seeking superiority is a nice little title for it. Seeking superiority, this means that the Republicans would come out strong around the 23rd. So I made a forecast just based on this graph and looking at what planets are involved, because it's not only a matter of just what the vibration is, but what are the planets involved in the vibration? What are the orbs, exactly how they're connected together? And it all added up to show that a very likely resolution to the government shutdown, and I'll show you some more of the details of why I thought it would be specifically that, favoring the Republicans. It did not happen, happened 2 days later, and not really favoring the Republicans. The Democrats seem to be getting maybe a slightly better image as a result of this. It's not clearly you might say a Republican win. Now, I had never looked at the head person in the Democratic Party, who's you might say opposing Trump. That's Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House. I've never looked at her chart because I don't have a birth time for it. And just by her appearance and her behavior, I thought, she looks like a 9 vibration person, all about community. She's very liberal. She doesn't strike me as a 13 vibration person. I just assumed she isn't. And I figured she's going to crumble under the power of this 13 energy around the 22nd. And the main reason my forecast was wrong is I did not understand Nancy Pelosi. I had never looked at her birth chart, And it ends up that if she was born in the afternoon, she has a stronger 13 vibration than the Republicans. Now, that's interesting. So if she's born in the afternoon, she has very strong 13 vibration, but that would mean that her personality, her behavior would have to be 13. But isn't she a very liberal Democrat just looking for unity and healing and soothing? What's going on here? So I did some Googling around, did some internet searching, and oh my goodness, my understanding of Nancy Pelosi is completely wrong. So, we get images of looking at people, and sometimes they're accurate and sometimes they're wrong, and mine was just completely and absolutely wrong. She is not some soft 9th harmonic pushover kind of person. And here's Nancy Pelosi's 13th harmonic chart, not her natal chart, something we call a harmonic chart that shows us the vibrations. If she was born at 4 p.m., and you see this box, if you're an astrologer, you know what that box is, a grand cross of Mercury, Mars, Uranus, and Neptune. That is a huge pattern, and also there's a symmetry here where Jupiter is making these hard aspects we call sesquiquadrats to the Mars and Neptune as well. This is just a huge pattern. There's also other aspects going on with the sextile and trine to Saturn from Uranus and Neptune. It's just an extremely strong 13th harmonic chart if she was born at 4 p.m. in the morning. Now let me show you this. Here I'm in the Sirius software, the version 3 of the Sirius software. And if I go to time adjust, I've got her up here, Nancy Pelosi, 13th harmonic chart for 4 p.m. She was born in Baltimore, Maryland. So we know the date, March 26, 1940. We know the place, we don't know the time. If I go to the time adjust and go forward 4 hours, 4 hours, and I hit this right arrow, look what happens to the Grand Cross. It becomes sharper. Both opposition lines are there, all the lines are thicker, and this is why I believe she's probably born around, I've got 7 p.m. What did I do? I accidentally hit something. Let me move forward 1 more hour. There's the 8 p.m. So around 8 p.m., this Grand Cross is very strong. If I cancel out of this, go back to the 4 p.m., we see that one of the aspects is weak. So this builds up in the afternoon. Now, if she's born at 4 p.m., she still has a very strong 13th harmonic chart, strong enough to be conspicuous in her personality and her behavior. Even more so if she's born later. So she has this huge pattern involving all these planets. Now, if she's born in the afternoon, and I'm predicting that she was, if we get her birth time, we find out that she was not, then I'm wrong again. But that's okay. I don't mind putting myself out on the line because I'm more interested in learning astrology and figuring out how it works than just showing that I'm always right. So, if we find out what time she's born and it's not in the afternoon, maybe the moon had moved into a 13 vibe or something else could explain it. We'll learn again. But another reason why I do like to go out on a line and make these very definite predictions is that they usually are correct. Like 75 to 80% of the time, they're going to be correct because this stuff really does work. And when they're not, it's usually because we overlooked something. As in this case, I really didn't know who Nancy Pelosi was. Now, this is her 9th harmonic chart. We see the Grand Trine. We see a T-square. The T-square is Venus, Saturn, Pluto. Grand Trine of Mercury, Neptune, Pluto. This is for the 4 p.m. time. Extremely strong 9th harmonic chart. Of course, she does. Almost all Democratic leaders do. So she's an interesting person. If she was born in the afternoon, she has strong 9 vibration and 13 vibration. So she is, I have an exclamation point, she is a Democrat. Strong 9 vibration. Now we can get into all the planets and all the details of exactly what it means. But in this video, I just want to cover some basic concepts of and not get into too much detail with everything. We can only do so much in a half hour. Okay, So now this is interesting. On January 23rd, from about 5 in the morning to about 11 in the morning, this is January 23rd, the date that I had predicted that there would be a resolution to the government shutdown, and it would favor the Republicans because of the strong 13 energy. Right in that morning of January 23rd, there was a grand cross in the 13th harmonic chart. So this is one of the reasons why I predicted that there would be a resolution. There was strong 13 vibration. Now this is really amazing, is that that morning of the 23rd, it only lasted about 6 hours, the Grand Cross is extremely similar to the one in Nancy Pelosi's birth chart. On January 23rd, there's a Mercury, Mars, Uranus, Venus. Mercury, Mars, Uranus, Venus, Grand Cross. We go back to Nancy Pelosi's 13th harmonic, and it's Mercury, Mars, Uranus, Neptune. Both of them are Mercury, Mars, Uranus, and the fourth planet is different. It's Neptune for Pelosi, and it's Venus on the day of the transit. Extremely similar patterns. When the pattern, the astrological vibrations on a given day are the same as when you're born, you are charged up with that energy. It's your day. So she's on fire, and she stood up and she surprised people. Like, she's not backing down. She will not give in on this. She's going to keep the government shut down. And that's a 13 vibration. 9 vibration doesn't want to inflict pain. And there are 800,000 people who are not getting their paychecks, who are not working. They're going through a lot of sacrifice. They're going through some pain. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And the 9th harmonic tends to be more, you might say, indulgent, more, soft about things. 13th harmonic can be into tough love. No pain, no gain. And there's something wrong, they're going to push it. And if you have to suffer a little bit, we can grin and bear it, so to speak. So she's much tougher. She's a 13 vibration person, and she's in her, and her 13 vibration is charged up on the 23rd, on the day that I thought that she would cave in, as people say. I don't like to cave in. Compromise. Give some help to people. That cave in is a 13 vibration term, like it's so bad to accommodate people that are having trouble. But she doesn't, because she's much tougher than I ever imagined. But how did I know? I'm not a political expert. I don't watch the news that carefully. I just saw her a few times on TV. She looked like a 9th harmonic person. But surprise, surprise, she's tough, and she was activated on that day. That's why my forecast was wrong, because I did not have any idea who Nancy Pelosi is. And in fact, Chuck Schumer, one of her close colleagues, has said, well, now you know that you don't mess around with Nancy Pelosi. You might have thought you could. Well, he's right. I thought she would compromise on this, because 9th harmonic people will compromise. They don't want to put people in pain, and that's a good thing, that they don't want people to be in pain, and they're sensitive to it. But 13th harmonic, of course, brings its truth as well. Now, this is why I predicted the resolution, because on January 22nd, in the 13 vibration, this is a chart for 12 noon in Washington, D.C. on January 22nd, Venus moves into a 13 vibration with Jupiter and Saturn. This is a 13 vibration chart. When the planets are conjunct, it means they're in that vibration. And these aspects are like overtones, and Mercury's opposition, and Sun is trine, and Jupiter Saturn means restructuring. Venus has a lot to do with what's beautiful and how we can bring beauty into our lives, which can require assets and money and well-being. And it's a 13 vibration, so there would be a plan, an organization to restructure things, with the Sun coming in and trining for a short period of time to resolve this from the Republicans, because it's 13 vibration. What I didn't know is that this 13 vibration is not strictly Republican. It also activates Nancy Pelosi. In fact, Pelosi is more 13 vibration than Trump is. I mean, Trump has a strong 13 vibration chart. I can show it to you. But he doesn't have a grand cross like Pelosi does if she's born in the afternoon, like I suspect. So what I didn't realize is that this strong 13 vibration day is even better for Pelosi in her element, and also for Trump, and they butt heads, and they both won't give in. So many Democrats went along with Pelosi, but undoubtedly, if she was not at the Speaker of the House and leading the Democrats as one of their, their biggest leader, I would say, they probably would not propose to have more sacrifice and pain for the 800,000 government workers who are not working during this partial shutdown. I mean, that's tough. That's hard. But the question is, are you going to do tough love, or are you going to help heal and bring healing? And the 9 vibration is going to say, let's come together. Let's not fight each other. 13 is going to say, there's something more important. We're going to have to push through this. Who's right? Well, it depends on the circumstances, depends on what you think is appropriate. But that's why people so strongly disagree. They're attuned to different frequencies. They are literally not on the same wavelength. What I didn't know is that Nancy Pelosi is very strongly on the 13 vibration wavelength. And she came out fighting strong as this crisis built up. And it was actually Trump who compromised 2 days later. And Pelosi just kept charging ahead, saying, no, we're going to continue this if we have to. People will just have to tough it out. So I hope you can appreciate that I'm not taking sides. Because in politics, there's a tendency to get emotional and take sides. I'm just trying to explain the energy flow. And you decide who's right. You decide which one is the better strategy. But at least you understand the energy behind the way people are and the way that they're making their decisions and the way they see the world. Now, here's some information that I got from LATimes.com trying to understand why my forecast was wrong. And when I saw that huge 13 vibration in the afternoon, my thought was, oh my gosh, Pelosi is more of a tiger than I thought. And this is an amazing quote because it actually, to tell you the truth, it actually gave me chills as I read it because I could see how I was missing something in the astrology and how true it was. I'll just read this quote from the LA Times. Pelosi has been routinely dismissed first as a dilettante and then in Congress as a legislative lightweight. Her wide brown eyes suggest a perpetual state of wonderment, and speaking in public, she often falls back on the strange superlatives and canned platitudes that make her sound plastic and superficial. Frankly, that's exactly my impression of Pelosi. I don't follow politics very carefully. I just see her periodically in the news with those big brown wide eyes. I mean, this writer expresses it so well. Perpetual state of wonderment. I think to myself, oh my gosh, she doesn't look like a 13 vibration. But that's how sometimes appearances deceive you. That she might look like that to some people. Maybe she doesn't look that way to you. That's just the impression I got, similar to the person writing this. But she is one tough person who's going to really fight like a tiger and give tough love when necessary. Now, this amazed me also, reading this. This is also from the LA Times. There is, of course, a less convivial... I'm reading... This is a quote from the LA Times. There is, of course, a less convivial side. Well, I didn't know, of course. I didn't know she had a less convivial side. Pelosi has a reputation for vindictiveness, which surfaced after she defeated the more senior Steny H. Hoyer of Maryland in a hard-fought 2001 race for minority whip. So tensions linger despite a relationship going back decades. So, and listen to this, which is very 13 vibration. Her biggest weakness is she views the world in two camps, those who are for me and those who are against me, says a House leadership aide. She she'll have to get over it if she's going to succeed. Well, that's interesting because Donald Trump is often criticized for you're either for him or against him. As soon as you do something a little bit against him, it's like you're out, you're fired, right? You're for him or against him. Pelosi is the same way, and this is a tendency. That's not true with every 13 vibration person. Not every person that has a strong 13 vibration is this way, but it's this feeling like you're going to go or you're not going. Do you have the strength? Do you have the courage? Or are you sitting back? And this is also very 13 vibration. She's not going to shy away from decisions that need to be made, even if they'll ruffle some feathers, because 13 vibration wants to transcend, to move beyond, for better or worse. They will just make decisions, and if it bothers people, that's okay. And that's why the Republicans often criticize the Democrats for being politically correct, because 9th Harmonic doesn't like to ruffle feathers. But Pelosi's an interesting character. She's got the 13 and the 9. And so she brings a different kind of Democratic Party attitude where she's going to fight head to head like a little tiger. And she feels strong about something, she'll go for it. And here's a recent quote from her daughter. She will cut your head off and you won't even know you are bleeding. So she'll just go for it. And 13 vibration does that because they want to move. They don't want to sit around and just pat everybody on the back. And it reminds me of what they say about kids in sports now. Like everybody gets a trophy even if they lost. 13 vibration doesn't give a trophy if you lost. It gives a trophy if you rose above your situation and you made that sincere effort. If something is not quite right, they will make it known and try to move things forward. So she's you might say a Democrat with a Republican temperament is one way to think of it. But I don't want to get into characterizing and making things oversimplified. Maybe that's not a good thing to say. All I want to say is that she's got the tough love attitude that's common with the Republicans, as well as the strong 9th Harmonic. People are complex. You can't put them into simple boxes. Okay. And this is very interesting. On January 23rd, the day when that 13 vibration was resonating so strong and almost an identical pattern to her birth chart, she says during a speech at a conference of mayors on Wednesday night, was Wednesday night the 23rd? Let me verify. Yes, on the 23rd, the evening of the 23rd. She says to the Republicans, take back your party. To the Republicans in the crowd, I say, take back your party, the grand old party. Pelosi said at the annual gathering of U.S. mayors, America needs a strong Republican Party, not a rubber stamp. And I think she really means it. Sometimes people in politics just say things for effect. She really respects the Republican Party. What she does not like is Donald Trump. She's made that very clear. And she wants the Republican Party to get back to the way they were. And if they don't, she's going to fight it to the bitter end. And she will give tough love because she really thinks that Trump is off base. She doesn't mind a lot of her Republican opponents, you might say. She respects them. She can work with them. They have differences of opinion. But here's a case where she thinks it's not right. If you love Trump, you disagree with Pelosi. Again, talking about politics is tricky because people are wondering what my view is. My view is I'm interested in the astrology and understanding, and you can see exactly what's going on. She wants to bring that grand old party, the Republicans that she enjoyed her battles with and her fights with, that it was important to work these things out. So it's fascinating how we learn in astrology. Okay, that's my last slide. How we learn and how we do make mistakes in astrology, and how we can learn from it and better understand what's going on. So I wanted to share that with you, to just share how we apply these things in the real world, how we can see things, how we do rectifications, and how we see that the astrology really works, and we expect, fairly specific things to happen as a consequence of the transits. And again, I will continue to make more specific forecasts in politics and other things, to demonstrate the ideas and also to test the ideas. And I think astrology needs a stronger evidence-based approach. As long as we say things that are not definitive, or we say them and we don't go back and check and admit when we're wrong or point out when we're right and analyze, then we just kind of go round and round. So this is a way for us to make progress in the field of astrology. Thank you very much for listening, my friends. God bless. Namaste.